you'll find breakout room 2. Breakout room 3 is directly behind us. There is a ramp and stairs that go down into the President's Club, where we will have breakout room 3. And then breakout room 4 is upstairs in the press box. So if you take the elevators, there's a button that says press box. That will take you up to breakout room 4. If you need help finding your way around, we have signage and folks with red lanyards on who will help direct you to any room. So if you get lost, that is okay. You can find one of us with a red lanyard, and we can help guide you around. When you came up the elevator, you will have seen our expo. We have over 45 organizations, companies here today sharing more about the great work they are doing in the disability inclusion space. The expo will be open until 2 p.m. So we invite you in between breakout sessions, if you would like to use a breakout session to spend your time in the expo, to please do that and check out some of the great organizations and companies we have here today. Woods System of Care will also be offering free blood pressure screenings from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. by the elevator, or by the escalators, sorry, by the escalators. So we invite anyone here today to stop over, get a free blood pressure screening, and learn a little bit more from them. And then after this introductory plenary, our first breakout session will start at 10:15. So after this session ends, we invite you to make your way to our first breakout session at 10:15. If you have any questions, again, you can look for someone in a red lanyard, or you can find me. We have an information desk near the elevator where I will be most of the day if you have any questions. And so with that, I'm going to invite Matt Aaron up, the CEO of Special Olympics Pennsylvania, to get us started.
Good morning, everybody. What a beautiful day that we have to be here together at Lincoln Financial Field. I am excited to be here, and I am excited to welcome all of you to our 2024 Cities of Inclusion Disability Summit. I want to start first by thanking the many, many people that made today possible. First, Matt Forrest, who is just up here, he deserves a huge round of applause. Matt has worked so hard to make this possible. I also want to recognize Nate Garland, our Chief Operating Officer at Special Olympics Pennsylvania, all of the members of the Cities of Inclusion Summit Planning Committee, and also the members of the Cities of Inclusion Executive Council, who have literally worked for a year to bring what's happening here today together. So would you join me, please, in thanking all of them who worked so hard to make today possible. Now, today is a joyful day. Today is a beautiful day. The sun is shining outside. Everyone is included and welcomed here today for this summit, even Mets fans today. But I also want to pause for a moment, and today is also a somber day. So before we get started today, I'd like to just ask everyone to take a moment and say a quick prayer or reflect for a moment on our brothers and sisters in Florida and North Carolina and all over the South who just felt the impacts of Hurricane Helene and are now dealing with Hurricane Milton. So please join me in a brief moment of silence for our friends down south. Thank you very much. Now, as I was preparing for today, I reflected back on where we've come from. Back in 2018, we held our first Cities of Inclusion Summit here at Lincoln Financial Field in December. And we had about 100 people here that day, and that blew away our expectations of who would be in the room. And I know there were some of you who were in the room that day. If you were here back in 2018, would you put your hand up, please? It is amazing. There was a ton of energy that day when we brought together 100 people. Today we have almost 4 times as many people coming together. With the 300 plus people registered for this summit and the 100 students coming from the School District of Philadelphia for our youth summit, we have more than 400 people here today, all focused on this important work together. And for those of you who are new, who maybe don't really know what Cities of Inclusion is about, Cities of Inclusion isn't a project or a program. Cities of Inclusion is about bringing together people, convening and connecting like-minded individuals and organizations to make Philadelphia a city where people with disabilities lead healthy and fulfilling lives as respected members of a more inclusive society. And we focus in multiple different functional areas: education and employment, housing and health, and access to information and services. But our power is not in what we do individually or in, as I said, in creating a new project. Our power is convening and connecting together, because together we can do more than any of us could do alone. And so, as we've grown, that vision of making Philadelphia an inclusive city hasn't changed, but the energy that we're bringing certainly has grown, and that's what we're going to see here today. And now as we look to the future, what does the future hold? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. That's what today is about, is creating the future together. But we're very excited that Cities of Inclusion has been named a legacy project with Philadelphia 250. So as we look ahead to 2026, we know that we'll want to host another COI summit then. And we also are bidding on the Special Olympics North America Athlete Congress. We want to host the very first Athlete Congress for Special Olympics North America here in the city of brotherly love in 2026. So we know that the momentum we've built will continue as we look to the future. But let's focus now on today. Today we have a great day in store with incredible speakers and wonderful panels, an incredible resource expo, a youth summit with 15 high schools from the School District of Philadelphia, and a legislative hearing this afternoon. So to welcome all of you and to get us started, I'd like to introduce Lisa Barber, who is one of our Special Olympics Pennsylvania athletes from Philadelphia and also a Special Olympics Pennsylvania board member. Lisa.
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone feeling today? You ready to do some work? On behalf of the Special Olympics PA Board, I'd like to thank you all for attending. And let's say thank you to Eagles Autism Foundation for providing us with this beautiful space. As I thought about today, I just couldn't decide on one thing I was interested in, because I'm interested in voting rights, health care, and there are so many other things to discuss today. And I want to thank you all, because this is very important work, and we need to keep that here, and we need to keep it here. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. That was outstanding. And I want to recognize all of our board members who are here today. We have our Vice Chair, Jim Loftman, with us, Tony Gillespie, Dave Simonetti from Wawa. Thank you to our board for your leadership. And of course, the board of directors gives me the hard job as the CEO, because now I have to try to thank and recognize all of the important partners that we have here today without missing anybody. So my apologies in advance. I'm going to do the best that I can. We have so many friends here today that I'm going to try to recognize everyone. But please forgive me if I miss you. So I'm going to start with First Lady of Pennsylvania, Lori Shapiro. She will be joining us at our Youth Summit later today. She'll be accompanied by Deputy Secretary Kristen Ahrens, who heads the Office of Developmental Programs. We have a delegation from the White House here today. That includes Dante Allen, the Commissioner of Rehabilitative Services Administration within the U.S. Department of Education, White House Fellow Tawny Leibach, with the White House Domestic Policy Council, Will McEntee, the Director of Strategic Engagement for the Office of Public Engagement, and Anna Pern, Senior Advisor with OPE. And Anna is also a former Executive Council member on our Cities of Inclusion Executive Council. You'll also hear recorded greetings from a couple of other leaders today. And as I mentioned, we have so many wonderful partners who have worked to help us get here today. First and foremost, the Eagles Autism Foundation that Lisa recognized, the City of Philadelphia, the School District of Philadelphia, the Office of Representative Joe Hohenstein, and I want to especially recognize, I know many members of his team are here today, but is Tara Gontek around? Tara, Joe's Chief of Staff, thank you so much. You have worked so hard to make today possible, and we're truly grateful. And I know Shane and the team from the Arc of Philadelphia have worked closely with them and are important partners in our work here. The Institute on Disabilities at Temple University, the Neurodiversity Employment Network, KenCrest, Best Buddies, and many other partners who've really made the work here today possible. On top of that, we have many sponsors and supporters who have provided financial support as well as participating in our panels. Aramark, the Wawa Foundation, Comcast, and of course, in addition to being a partner in the work, the Eagles Autism Foundation have been amazing financial supporters, enabling today to be possible. So now I would like to introduce Ryan Hammond, who's the Executive Director of the Eagles Autism Foundation, to welcome everyone on behalf of the Eagles today. Please join me in welcoming Ryan.
Good morning, everyone. So I was back in 2018 at our first Cities of Inclusion meeting, and we were in a much smaller place in the stadium, but I will tell you we left with a lot of momentum. And while it's taken a little bit of time and surviving a global pandemic, we are all back together today, and most importantly, here to champion the good work of inclusion. Now, since 2018, it happened to be the year we founded the Eagles Autism Foundation. So a lot of work has happened within the Philadelphia Eagles since then as well. So for example, we were the first NFL team to open a sensory room, which we have just downstairs. So I encourage you, if you have time, to check it out. And really, that was a symbol, right? That we're in a stadium with a lot of energy, a lot of noise, but it could be challenging for some people to really enjoy a game. And what do you do when there's a no re-entry rule? So we took the lead. We created a state-of-the-art sensory room to allow fans to take a break, to de-escalate, to get resources they might need, like visual schedules, being able to use nonverbal prompts, to get access to headphones, weighted blankets, all of these different things that could make their experience better, meet their needs, and then allow them to rejoin and cheer on their favorite team. That was the start of the work that we've done, and we have done so much in this space that we couldn't be more proud. I think, as Matt would agree, We are so excited that Philadelphia is a leader in this space. However, it's not our goal to keep this work in Philadelphia. It's really to serve as a springboard and a model so everyone around the country, if not around the world, can echo how important inclusion is. Since then, you might see our mascot Swoop at some overwhelming events wearing his noise-canceling headphones. That is a silent nod. We don't talk about that, but if you notice it, if you know, you know, right? If you know that headphones are just a part of some people's experience to make things better. We've learned that while putting the autism community as a priority, and that's really due to the leadership of Jeffrey Lurie. His brother is on the spectrum. He really has been an ultimate supporter of autism research. He has funded over $100 million over the years with his family. But in 2018, he decided to leverage this team, in our opinion, the best team in the NFL, to be a voice for the 1 in 36 individuals affected by autism. And what we learned is that while our goals start with serving the autism community, we really can serve all. Because when we create resources and accessibility for those with the greatest challenges, everyone can be served. Examples of this include the families who are using our sensory room because their child had a concussion, or a soldier has post-traumatic stress and needs to take a break just because of, again, the overwhelming environment that a game or, an event can bring. So we see that this, along with access to our stadium from a fan engagement standpoint, carries through to employment. We have one of our amazing partners, Wawa, here together today. And we were able to create and transform a closed Wawa into a popcorn factory. We saw that with employment opportunities, it wasn't about recognizing where we thought people could fit. It was about taking an open mind and creating opt-in resources at the interview process, understanding that inclusion doesn't always have to cost more or create more work for people. It's about understanding the people that can be flexible, that can change someone's life. And I think that's really the spirit of everything that we're doing today, is we're celebrating inclusion, we're celebrating how far Philadelphia has come since 2018, and most importantly, we're doing it together. I think that's, for me, what I am the most energized about, is that so many different groups have answered a call to action. They've raised their hand, and they've committed how important inclusion is. And whether we're working in fan experience or welcoming you out of Lincoln Financial, or going into any of our city buildings, or going into your local Wawa, it's really about being in this together. And I feel so proud of the work that is coming our way because of what's going to happen today in this room. So thank you so much for being here, for bringing your energy, for turning something so small in 2018 to so magnificent today. And I hope that you leave here with the understanding that we all share a responsibility to make the world a better place. We are all empowered, and if we work together, the possibilities truly are endless. So I'll end this how I end pretty much every time at a podium. Go Birds!
Thank you, Ryan. And now I'd like to introduce another one of our incredible partners from the School District of Philadelphia. Nearly 20 years ago, we started a pilot initiative with the school district for a program that has now become called Unified Champion Schools. And from that first pilot, we have now grown to programs in 57 different schools in the school district here in Philadelphia. And later this school year, we will surpass 500 schools statewide. And so I would like to now welcome and introduce, representing the school district, Dr. Natalie Neary. She is the Chief of Special Education and Diverse Learners. Please welcome Dr. Neary.
Good morning. Thank you. And I would like to bring some greetings from our superintendent, Dr. Wallington, and our deputy superintendent, Dr. Dawson. As Matt mentioned, my name is Dr. Natalie Neary. I serve as the Chief of Special Education and Diverse Learners. This work has been my life's work. I have done this work in several states, and I can tell you that I am so excited to partner with all of you here in the city of Philadelphia. Our students come to us at 5 years old, and it's my responsibility to make sure that they get content knowledge, right? Math, reading, their related services, but there's so much more to ensure their success. So that's why I am so excited that you're here, and I thank you in advance for locking arms with me to ensure that our students are successful, not just during the time that they're with me up until the age of 22, but so that we can change the trajectory of their lives and the experience of their everyday experience in our city. So I just want to thank you for this work. I am so encouraged. I am so excited. And I look forward to meeting some of you guys as we break out and welcome our students. Thank you so much.
And now I'd like to introduce another really important partner and friend from the City of Philadelphia, also a member of our Cities of Inclusion Executive Council, Adrienne Moore, the Executive Director of the Office for People with Disabilities for the City of Philadelphia, an office that recently became a permanent part of the city government due to a charter change. So please join me in welcoming Adrienne Moore.
Good morning, everyone, and greetings from the Office for People with Disabilities, as well as Mayor Sherelle Parker. Today is an amazing example of what collaboration can do and what bringing the stakeholders to the table can do. Our office works tirelessly to ensure that the residents of Philadelphia receive the resources that they need to help themselves as well as their families navigate the challenges that may exist in their lives. You know, part of our work, which is more than just work for us, it's a passion that each of us shares, is to ensure that we not only provide those resources, but that we help people to help themselves. So we show people how to use these resources. And that's what today is about too. And so I encourage you all to ask questions, to learn, to network, to grow, and to take away from this experience the opportunities that present themselves. People with disabilities are not people who are unable. We look at these people as very able, very willing, very talented, very skilled. And we are so proud that Cities of Inclusion has put together what an amazing event today. And so I encourage you with great arms, and I welcome you as well. And I'm so grateful to Matt, to Special Olympics, to Representative Hohenstein's office, and to the Parker administration. As Matt mentioned, our office is now a permanent part of the city charter, which Philadelphians voted on in our last election, last November. And so we are proud to continue the work of our office. We have a disabilities map, which is available on our website. It provides layers of information from the last U.S. Census on how many people with disabilities exist in the city of Philadelphia, as well as other demographic information. So I encourage you to please visit our website and to join us at our next public meeting, which will be on October 22nd. It will be on Zoom. The information will be also on our website. So with that, again, welcome and enjoy this great event. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our amazing partners. And now with that as a solid foundation, I'm really excited and I'm honored to introduce our keynote speaker for the morning. Our speaker this morning is Theo Braddy, a member of the National Council on Disability. Theo has advocated on behalf of people with disabilities for over 40 years. At the age of 15, he became a person with a disability due to a high school football accident that left him paralyzed from the neck down. Starting in 1988, he was hired as the CEO of the Center for Independent Living of Central Pennsylvania, where he served for 30 years, and I don't think he stopped. As CEO, he became a strong and growing voice for people with disabilities. He started the Living Well with a Disability initiative, and Theo currently serves as the executive director of the National Council on Independent Living. Unfortunately, Theo is ill and was not able to travel to be with us in person today, but with the help of our friends here at Lincoln Financial Field, we've been able to live stream him in. And so it is my pleasure to now introduce Theo Braddy as our morning keynote speaker. Good morning, Theo.
Awesome. Can everybody hear me okay?
Thank you. Your feedback will help improve
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Great. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate your comments. I am so sorry I could not attend in person. I'm still not 100%, but I'm so grateful I could participate here virtually. So thank you again. Also want to shout out to Vicki Landers. She is in the audience. She's a Nickel board member and a great advocate. So please get to know Vicki if you have an opportunity. A little bit about myself. My pronouns are he, him, and his. A visual description is I'm a black man with a bald head, full salt and pepper beard, blue glasses, wearing a black shirt. And like Matt indicated, I am a C4 quadriplegic who uses a complex motorized wheelchair. I have been a person with disability, again, since age 15 due to a football accident. And again, as Matt indicated, I'm the CEO of the Center for Independent Living for 31 years until I retired in 2019. And I'm currently the Executive Director of the National Council on Independent Living, as well as a presidential appointment to the National Council on Disability, which I have the opportunity to provide policy changes and comments to the President and Congress. So without all of that being said, let me get into this. I once heard a famous black civil rights leader say that the last unfinished work of the United States is ensuring full civil rights for black Americans. I love that comment, but I also wanted to add to it and say that ensuring full participation and equality of people with disabilities is the unfinished work of America. It was President George Bush who said during the signing of the 8A in 1990, let the shameful walls of inclusion finally come tumbling down. Now, I could call this message America's unfinished work, or I could call it America's unfinished promise, because he made a promise. And yes, we have the Rehabilitation Act, now including Section 504 final rules that promises medical equipment should be accessible and that medical professionals cannot be biased toward people with disabilities. And yes, we have the ADA that, like I said, promises equal opportunities for people with disabilities. And yes, we have the Affordable Care Act and ACA 1557, final rules that promises equity within healthcare and insurance companies. We also have Olmsted. And money followed the person that promises that we don't need to be institutionalized. But yet, there is still unfinished work. People with disabilities are still being institutionalized in large numbers. This might be news to you, but it's not news to many people with disabilities. The fastest growing population being institutionalized in nursing homes are persons with disabilities under the age of 30, according to the National Council on Disabilities report. Under the age of 30. Healthcare is not universal to all. It's far way short of being equal, especially with persons with disabilities and other multi-marginalized groups. Accessible, affordable housing is not fully available, and it's the number one reason why people with disabilities are placed in nursing homes. Persons with disabilities are being locked into poverty because of asset limits and unfair eligibility requirements of Social Security disability insurance, SSI, Medicaid. I still can't call an accessible, affordable Uber or taxi on demand and go anywhere, any time of the day or night. And I'm 100% sure that many of you can't either, if you have a disability. So why? Why haven't all these laws and mandate worked? I'm gonna get to that. There are a couple reasons. But the number one reason is ableism, our greatest challenge. Let me say that again. Our number one reason is ableism, our greatest challenge. Now, let me be clear about what ableism is. Ableism is discrimination or bias against people with disabilities rooted in the belief that non-disabled individuals are superior to people with disabilities. As much as we have accomplished, and we have accomplished some things, it is only small steps because we still have decision makers and people with power and influence who are ableist with ableist ideas about us in regard to how we live our lives. These ableists create discriminatory and oppressive systems and programs that keep us excluded and oppressed. That's why I love your theme, Cities of Inclusion. I love it. Eradicating ableism is our and America's unfinished work. So what will it take? It will take people like all of you to finish the work. I never give a speech or remark without giving a challenge, right? I have known a lot of great leaders who are no longer with us, like Ed Roberts, Don Calloway, Judah Human, who recently passed away, Justin Dodd, all great leaders. Some of us still with us today and alive, and we should be thankful for that. Bob Cathler, Tony Coelho, architect of the ADA, Mark Johnson, Kay Gaynor, Les Frieden, and there are others. But these are the big stars of our IL movement, the ones that get all the attention and are honored, and they should be for all the great work they have done. But this is the thing. There are other smaller stars that are shining just as brightly, but everyone can only see the big stars, right? I share this all the time. This doesn't mean that the smaller stars are not shining. We just want to see the bigger stars. Right? I'm going to say that again because this is so important. This doesn't mean that the smaller stars are not shining. You, the ones in this room, and I'm so sorry I can't be there with you, are shining stars too. You're shining brightly. And I understand from what you just said about starting off with 100 and now over 400, and you got young folks there. I'm blown away by that. Now, this doesn't mean that the smaller stars are not shining. You are the ones that in the room keep shining, and I'm challenging you to keep shining because it's too important not to. We need you. You're the army of soldiers, the smaller stars that keep on going and keep on doing the work. And it's hard work. I've been doing it all my life. It's hard work, but it's good work. And I know some of you in the room know what I'm talking about. Now, let me talk about the final reason, right? And this one is important. It really is. The decision makers, the ones with all the power and influence, who happen to be ableists, with ableist ideas about how we should live our lives. And I believe this strongly, I don't believe it's intentional. I really don't. I believe there are good people with good intentions. But unfortunately, good people with good intentions can do the wrong thing. And these individuals, when left unchecked, what I mean by that is they're not challenged. They just keep creating discriminatory and oppressive systems and supports. They have in their minds how we should live our lives based on outdated thinking. I call it thinking, S-T-I-N-K-I-N-G, thinking. And they create oppressive systems and supports that prevent people with disabilities from inclusion. You know the ones. I have a few, but I'm not talking to anyone that don't know this, but housing, accessible affordable housing, accessible affordable transportation, Medicaid with audit limits, asset limits, healthcare, employment. Even as we celebrate National Employment Month, people with disabilities are stigmatized and not included in so many ways when it comes to employment, home and community-based services. And that, like Matt stated, right, we can't overlook the fact that all these disasters are occurring in the South. But I guarantee you, and I know it from getting reports, that people with disabilities are still being left out. Marginalized groups are being left out. Overlooked again. We saw that during COVID. And we're doing it again. Now, I can go on about all the systems that are in place that are oppressive and discriminatory, but I think you know what I mean. Now, I'm not coming here to just tell you about the problem without a solution. And I think you know where I'm going with this. We are the solution. We must finish the work. All right? We must get to that promise that America made, or those shameful walls come tumbling down. And it can, obviously you all already got this because it's starting with your city, it's starting with your theme, and I love what you're doing. I am so encouraged that I have an opportunity to work with the Biden administration and people like Senator Bob Casey and others who gets it. They get it. Representative Joseph Hornstein, you get it. And I thank you for that. Thank you for inviting me just to share these comments. And I wish I was there because I know I would love hanging out with you all. I would. I love meeting people. It's so important to interact. I'm jumping off script here, but I got to real quick. How would you ever know me or people like me if you don't interact with me? And so many people without disabilities do not interact with people. In the workplace, socializing, we don't do it. And if you don't interact with me, you're never going to have a relationship with me or people like me. And you will never then see the humanity of us, that we're all just the same, right? We all got issues. So this is the thing. We must finish the race. We must finish the race. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. People like me and many of you need to pass that baton to the next runners. That's why I'm so glad you got young folks there, because they are the next runners. A marathon has 4 legs of a race. Now I'm thinking we're pretty close to the last leg, but the baton cannot be dropped or fumbled around with. We got to be very intentional of passing this thing on to the next generation so they can finish the marathon. We got to do it right. We got to do it right. And as your summit grows, and it looks like it's growing, I got to leave you all with a challenge. We must collaborate. We must come together and be unified with all our major initiatives. Let me go out what the Eagles are doing. Love what I heard. Not only that, we must show up when called upon. You get a call to action, act. I see this often. And I hate it when I see it. I see all these great DEIA statements on people's websites and on companies, but yet those are just words if they don't translate into action. And we have elegant words, don't we? But if it don't translate into real change, and this is another important, we must help educate the ableists, because education is the key. So don't back down from that one. Enough is enough. It took a long time for society to be socialized and conditioned to believe all the misbeliefs and the myths and the misconceptions about people with disabilities. And it's going to take some time to change those worldviews. but it can be done. Right? This is the thing about a worldview. Right? Once we get it, once it's shaped in our minds, we never evaluate it. We never consider that our worldview of people and marginalized group could be flawed or wrong. We never think about our worldview, where it comes from, how it can be passed down from generation to generation, and how it can be captured on social media, and we go down the wrong path. We gotta really look at our worldview and be willing not to lie to ourselves. Worst thing people can do is to lie to themselves about their worldview. And if your worldview is discriminatory and oppressive, stop lying to yourself. Be intentional about changing. How can you ever, and this is so important, how would you ever change the way you believe about folks with disabilities if you don't admit some things? And finally, we must stop leaving multi-marginalized folks out. We must figure out how to elevate everyone. No one should get left behind. No one should not be included in the great city of Philadelphia. And I love Philadelphia. I did my graduate work there. And I'm so sorry I could not be with you in person there. But I thank you all for this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to hearing great things, and hopefully I can get a chance to eventually be there in person. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Theo. And I don't know about everyone else, but Theo talked about eloquent words, and right now I'm at a loss for eloquent words because all I can think of is holy cow and wow. That was powerful. That was inspiring. That was thought-provoking. And most importantly, I think that was challenging. And so I'm going to use Theo's words to all of you to say, keep shining. Go out today. As soon as we break here, we'll start our first breakout sessions. They're scheduled for 10:15. So as soon as you can get there, we'll start. Please take some time throughout the day, during breaks, at lunch. At some point, take some time to go visit the Resource Expo, but keep shining. So thank you, Theo. You have an open invitation to come back anytime with us. Go out today, bring your light, bring your joy, do great things. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you for being here.